Let me start with something most people never hear, but almost everyone over 50 experiences. You can follow the diet, cut the snacks, walk every day, and somehow your belly still feels tighter than last year. It's frustrating, and it makes no sense at first. And here's the part nobody tells you. You can carry several pounds of harmful belly fat without seeing it at all. It hides deep inside, building quietly until your body finally starts pushing outward. Most people try crunches or long cardio sessions hoping the belly will shrink. But those only target the soft outer fat. The real problem sits much deeper, which is why you may lose a little weight, yet your waist still feels firm when you bend forward. This stubborn fat sits behind your abdominal muscles, right around your organs. When it builds up, it can strain your liver, raise inflammation, and make your belly feel round and tight from the inside. Some folks look normal in the mirror, slim legs, slim arms, yet still carry this internal fat. It's quiet, it's hidden, and it often shows up only in the stomach area. If your belly feels firm, almost like a balloon filled from the inside, that's a common sign. Many people notice the pressure most when they sit down or bend. And here's what caught my attention. In Japan, health experts noticed seniors who stayed flat-waisted without extreme dieting. There's a reason for that, and we're about to get into it. Let's talk about what's really happening inside the belly, because this is the part most people never get explained to them. There are two kinds of belly fat, and they behave in completely different ways. The soft, squishy layer you can pinch is the surface kind. It may look stubborn, but it mostly sits there quietly without interfering much with how your body functions. The deeper layer, the one you can't grab, is far more active. Health experts often describe it as fat that behaves like an organ. It sends out signals, shifts hormones, and makes the body work harder than it should. Because it's active rather than passive, it influences everything from your appetite to your daily energy. What surprises many people is how powerful this internal fat can be. Research shows it can release dozens of times more inflammatory chemicals than regular surface fat. So if you've been feeling more tired, more tense in the stomach, or noticing your mood shift quicker than it used to, this hidden layer often plays a part. A lot of seniors describe the same feeling, a firm balloon-like pressure right under the ribs, even on days when they hardly eat. That tension is often one of the first clues that deeper fat is building up. It also grows in a cycle. The signals it releases make the belly expand, and that expansion pushes those signals right back again. That's why the waist can slowly get rounder and harder instead of soft. You don't need to press or test anything. Simply noticing that steady internal pressure, especially when bending or sitting, is enough to raise awareness. And this is where the Japanese approach becomes so interesting, because it targets this active internal layer directly, not the soft surface fat most people focus on. Now, here's where things start to make sense. In Japan, researchers noticed something unusual. Seniors with firm, round bellies were able to shrink that internal fat without extreme dieting or heavy workouts. The method they used works by calming the very signals that make this deep fat grow. And it's built on a simple 3-part formula anyone can follow. To understand why this first step works so well, you have to picture what happens inside the body when visceral fat starts to grow. It's not just sitting there quietly. It feeds on the tiny bits of stress your cells build up over time. Stress from eating the wrong things, long periods of inactivity, or simply getting older. Think of your cells like a small engine. When the engine runs smoothly, everything stays clean. But when it runs too long without support, a kind of internal rust starts to form. That buildup creates exactly the environment deep belly fat thrives in. It actually prefers these stressed out conditions. That's why some people gain belly fat even while eating very little. So the first step of this Japanese method is simple. You have to clean the internal environment so the fat loses its fuel source. And the most effective way to do that isn't by starving yourself or cutting out entire food groups. It's by using something nature already built into plants. Color. The pigments that give vegetables their bright orange, deep green, rich red, or purple shades aren't just for looks. These pigments act like tiny cleaners inside the body. Once they enter the bloodstream, they start calming the very stress signals that help visceral fat grow. Researchers in Japan tested this idea in a group of adults with stubborn belly fat. The only change they made was adding more color-rich vegetables to daily meals. No fasting, no intense dieting, just color. And within weeks, something surprising happened. Their internal fat started dropping before the scale even moved. The belly became less firm. The pressure softened. Their cells shifted from store more fat mode to release fat mode. That's the power of these pigments. A simple rule makes it easy. If the food looks pale or beige, it's usually feeding the problem. If it's bright, vibrant, or deeply colored, it's helping fix the problem. Carrots, spinach, sweet potatoes, peppers, even dark leafy greens. These foods flip the body's fat-burning switch back on by cleaning up the oxidative stress deep inside the belly area. You don't need to overhaul every meal. You don't need to give up your favorites. One serving of a deeply colored vegetable added to each meal is enough to start shifting things. Over time, many people notice less tightness under the ribs, less pressure when bending, and a belly that finally feels like it can shrink again. This is the foundation of the Japanese method. And once you quiet those internal signals, the next step becomes even more effective, because now your body is ready to block the force that keeps storing new fat. Step 2, shut down the fat-storing enzymes. Once the inside of your body starts to settle and those stress signals calm down, the next step becomes much more effective, because now we look at the part most people never think about, how your body actually stores fat in the first place. A lot of people assume belly fat comes only from eating too much or moving too little. But there's another layer to this story. Your body uses specific enzymes to break down the fats you eat, and when those enzymes stay highly active, more of that fat ends up stored around the organs instead of being used for energy. So the real goal isn't just to burn off what's already there. It's to slow down the constant little drip that keeps adding more. And this is where a long-standing Japanese habit becomes surprisingly helpful. Certain types of green tea contain a natural compound that changes how the body handles fat. You've probably heard people mention that green tea is good for metabolism, but most never learn what actually makes it useful. The truth is simple. This compound helps shift the body away from storing fat and toward gently using it throughout the day. It's not about shutting anything down abruptly. It's about easing the flow, so less fat slips into storage in the first place. When this was looked at more closely, something interesting showed up. The people who drank this kind of tea regularly didn't suddenly change their diets or start training harder. They kept their routines the same. Yet over time, many noticed their midsection feeling less firm, their waistband fitting a little easier, and that internal tightness calming down. Not because they were skipping meals, but because their bodies were absorbing less excess fat. But, just like with anything, how you drink it matters. The bottled green teas you see in stores, they don't work the same way. They're usually diluted, processed, or packed with sugar and flavorings that completely cancel out the helpful compounds. It's the traditional forms of green tea, the ones made from real, intact leaves that contain the full strength of what your body needs. And there's an extra benefit built right in. The gentle caffeine found in natural green tea doesn't act like coffee. It works alongside those compounds, giving your body a steady push toward using fat for energy rather than storing it. Most people feel alert without the jitters, and many even notice smoother energy through the afternoon. You don't need cups and cups of it. You don't need anything extreme. Simply swapping out your second coffee or your usual afternoon drink for a clean, unsweetened Japanese-style green tea is enough to support this step. Over time, it quietly changes how much fat your body chooses to store. And once that process slows down, everything that comes next becomes easier. This is exactly when the final part of the Japanese method really starts working, because now your body is ready to burn fat at the right pace instead of resisting every effort. Step 3. Use 75% movement to force fat to burn. Now we reach the part most people misunderstand, movement. Not intense workouts, not punishing routines, and definitely not the no pain, no gain approach many of us grew up with. In reality, pushing the body too hard can make the belly feel even tighter over time because intense effort raises the very stress signals we're trying to calm. The real key is something gentler, something more controlled, something your body can actually sustain day after day. What Japanese health experts noticed was that older adults who kept their waistline steady weren't doing extreme exercise. They weren't sprinting or lifting heavy weights. They were simply moving at a steady, comfortable pace that was just challenging enough to nudge the body into using stored fat. You've likely felt this zone before. It's that moment during a walk or light activity when you can still carry a conversation, but you can hear your breath a bit more than usual. You're not gasping, you're not struggling, but you can feel your body working. That's the sweet spot. This gentle, steady effort gives the body something it understands well, a pace it can maintain while gradually tapping into the fat that sits deeper in the midsection. Not the surface layer, but the internal layer that creates that firm, rounded feeling. People who move in this zone a few times a week often notice something subtle at first. Less tightness under the ribs, a belly that feels less full, and a bit more ease when bending forward. These changes show up even before the scale moves, because this deeper fat often responds sooner than total body weight. The best part is that almost any activity counts. A brisk walk, light cycling, easy swimming, even going up a gentle incline. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. You just need movement that feels steady and doable, not overwhelming. About 30 to 45 minutes, a few days a week, is usually enough. You're not trying to exhaust yourself. You're giving your body a consistent signal. Use what's stored, not what's new. Many seniors find this approach easier to stick with because it doesn't strain the joints or spike the heart rate too high. It feels natural. It feels sustainable. And it supports the work you already did by cleaning up your internal environment and slowing down the fat storing process. When this step joins the first two, something important happens. The belly doesn't fight back as much. That stubborn pressure begins to soften. Your body responds more smoothly, without force or stress. And now you're ready for the part that ties everything together, the daily routine that helps these 3 steps work in real life. Now that the 3 steps are clear, let's turn them into something you can actually follow each day. Nothing complicated, nothing extreme, just a simple rhythm that works with your body instead of against it. Start with the easiest part. Add 1 deeply colored vegetable to every meal. It doesn't matter if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. A handful of spinach, a few slices of bell pepper, a small serving of carrots or sweet potato, anything with real color. These foods help calm the internal stress signals that make the belly feel firm and tight. You don't have to change the entire plate. Just add the color. Next, swap one of your daily drinks, usually the second coffee or your afternoon beverage, for a clean, unsweetened green tea. Not bottled, not flavored, just a simple, natural tea. This small shift helps your body absorb a little less extra fat each day while gently encouraging it to use what's already stored. Then comes movement. Pick 3 or 4 days a week and choose an activity that feels steady and comfortable. A brisk walk, a light bike ride, easy swimming, anything that gets your body moving without strain. You should be able to talk, but you'll notice you're breathing a bit more than usual. That's the zone where internal fat begins to loosen its grip. What matters most is consistency, not perfection. You don't need to be perfect every day. You don't need to push yourself to exhaustion. Slow, steady habits make the biggest difference because they're the habits you can actually stick with. And over time, these small choices begin to reshape the body from the inside out. The belly feels lighter, the pressure eases, and your waistline finally starts moving in the right direction. If there's one thing to remember from everything we've covered, it's this. Most belly fat plans fail because they only focus on the surface. Sit-ups, crash diets, extreme routines, they never touch the deeper layer that creates the firm, round pressure so many people feel. And that's why results never seem to last. But when you work with your body instead of fighting it, cleaning the internal environment, slowing down fat storage, and moving in that gentle, steady zone, the signals inside your body finally start shifting. You're not forcing change. You're guiding it. And the best part? It's never too late. Whether you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or well beyond, your body can respond when you give it the right cues. Many people notice results not because they eat less, but because they eat smarter. Not because they exercise harder, but because they exercise correctly. That's the real path to a flatter, softer waistline at any age. So stay patient with yourself. Small, steady choices build stronger results than any extreme plan ever will. Your body just needs a clear signal, and now you know how to send it. And now we'd love to hear from you. Which of these foods have you tried, or which one will you try first? Share below. I personally read every comment. We're building a community here for strong comebacks, so subscribe, hit the bell icon, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. If this was helpful and you want to support the effort behind it, give this video a like and share it with someone you care about. Join me in the next video. There's a lot more coming your way.